And we're live. Wait, are we live?
Yeah.
Are we live? We're live. Look left, look right. We're live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to this episode of NDI Now, where we talk about NDI now. Not later, not tomorrow, but today. Okay, so this is going to be a fun one today. We got so many guests, and we've had so many problems. We're going to talk about those problems because they are relevant to the conversation. That when you run into issues, you need a system that's flexibly capable of overcoming the issues. Little flustered, sorry. Okay, breathe. All right, so first off, let's bring in the guests and roll it in. So coming up, Alex Udell, straight out of a hurricane in Florida. Introduce yourself. Say hello.
Hey, I'm Alex Udell, sales engineer for JB&A. Previously, several years at NewTek/Viz, and also a background in post-production.
In-house expert. Love having two of those. Or three of those. All right, coming down to the bottom of my screen, probably to the left or right of yours, Mr. Chris Burgos.
Thank you for having me, Nick. I am, sales enablement at Vizrt. I actually remember when Alex joined us. I was part of his welcoming committee. He actually got thrown right out of the frying pan into the fire in an event that I was doing with him. This is going to be just recently. I passed my 9th year with the NewTek Viz when that transition happened. So I've been doing this for a little bit. And actually, one last point. I think you were the first person I met from JB&A. If you remember all those years back, bright-eyed young me was at one of your events. It was I think it was in Jersey, right? It was in Newark.
You talking about me or Alex?
No, so now Alex, right? But at the time it was you. Yeah, you're one of my longest relationships outside of the organization.
I love that. That's brilliant. Good stuff. Okay, and always a house favorite and a fan favorite, Kane Peterson.
Hello, thank you, Nick. My name's Kane Peterson. I've been with Vizrt and before that NewTek. I think it's 13 years now, something like that. So it's quite a while. I was on the sales team, then I was on professional services. Now I am part of the training team. So I create a lot of the Viz University training material that if anybody takes any of those courses, you probably are used to my voice. I get a lot of people who tell me that they've heard me, even if they've not seen me. And I'm still behind the scenes doing lots of stuff, helping out other departments and people. I know just yesterday, Chris was on site and I was helping him behind the scenes with getting a few things tied up so that the client was very happy.
And you developed some of the coolest applets that kind of tie things together.
Free apps and tools and stuff, so some of you can download it, and some of them are things that even are available through the professional services team at Vizrt, so they're not like public, but behind the scenes they're like, oh, we have a tool that does this, you just put this on there and there you go.
And we're actually going to come back around to that because that's some of the conversations, some of the Q&A we've gotten. You can talk about a few of the apps you've developed to build this or to fix these things, so it'll be fun on that one. Okay, so before we jump into that, I would love to know, and it's the October 24th, in 2 days, I'm going dark. Nobody can talk to me because the new Call of Duty is coming out, and I'm going to be spending my time playing Call of Duty. I already told my kids, leave me alone. Guys, what are you playing right now? Where are you spending your time outside of work?
Okay, when I'm not in work mode, which has been pretty intense lately, I'm actually playing a game that you've never heard of, but you have to get exclusive access to, and it's made by the biggest name in gaming, Valve. It's called Deadlock, and the only way to get into Deadlock is someone has to invite you into Deadlock. And given my background, I have some connections sort of esports and gaming. I got invited into it, and it is one of the highest player count games on Steam right now. It is a mix of MOBA. It is a mix of third-person shooting. The first 10 times you play this game, you're like, how can anyone maintain like this intensity? Because there's just so many things going on. It has this great sort of mix of a 1920s aesthetic and sort of like fantasy. It is really slick. And so when I'm not working, flying, or doing great events with you guys, I am playing Deadlock off scenes.
How many invites do you have left?
Yeah.
I technically have quite a few invites, so I could dole those out as needed. It's a fun game, and it's a very different game. So if you guys need to after, we'll send some invites out.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm interested. Kane, what are you playing these days?
Well, the game I'm most playing right now is Diablo 4. I just got that. I never played Diablo 3, but I played the original in Diablo 2, so kind of coming back to it, but having fun with that. And one other one I'll throw out, actually, Alex, you and I got to get another one of these going, but another classic is the old Commodore 64 game Mule. Love to play that once in a while. We've actually figured out a way to play that online between each other.
Funny enough, my parents moved a year or two ago, and I found the old Commodore 64.
It made it.
It's a great system.
Yeah.
My
Good
first
times.
computer.
Oh, Alex, outside of Mule, apparently, are you playing anything these days?
Nah, I'm not really big into games. I do like to play a little Mule there, and I have taken an interest recently in looking back over my complete computer history. So I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube about classic computers all the way back to my first one, the TRS-80 Model 1 and Model 3, and that sort of thing. Just little Septandy and sort of those things. Just trivia things about the systems I didn't really know. So I take an interest there, but
He
not
says
really an
systems
active
you really
gamer
didn't know.
right
He had all of them.
now.
Admitted. Well, speaking of games, chess.com, we released a case study. You all released a case study. We posted the case study on how chess.com is powering all of their online gaming through TriCaster. Well, effectively, this isn't TriCaster. It's a vector, right?
Yep.
So, guys,
Which
tell
is
me a little bit
is a
about this and what they're
TriCaster.
doing with it.
Sure. I'll give you a couple quick notes on this. So a vector is a TriCaster. It's our virtual TriCaster that we have. So we're looking over some of the pieces, and I think the big highlights were we need to turn this around really quickly. There is a lot of sources coming into this because there are so many different angles on it. And as we're looking at sort of the control room here, as they're showcasing it, the other thing and in their production on the case that you can see, it's a mix of sources. There's live video sources coming from cameras. There's also like this little chess app that's mimicking what the players are doing. If you're familiar with chess, there's sort of history of like documenting players and understanding strategies and gambits. And it's this really intense sort of production that is taking place with a vector, which is a virtualized TriCaster. That's capable of 44 channels, similar to something we'll talk about a little bit later. But it is intense to think about. And when we talk about these gaming environments, just turning on the facilities, so many sources between cameras, game sources from computers, different NDI sources for statistics, programs. It really creeps up on you when we think about that compared to traditional sports or a news environment. So what chess.com really pushed upon was we need to have a lot of source count. They're going to be in different configurations, and we need to be able to manage this without having a piece of hardware on site. And that's where the vector came in really nicely.
The players look stressed that are in these screenshots. I don't know, Jordan, you want to show this one? It's like they look unhappy right now. I'm sorry for them. I mean, apparently they need to play more Call of Duty.
Well.
But it's interesting that how big the chess community is and the fact that they're powering so many streams on this. Now, the reason I kind of wanted to bring this one in is because you mentioned it. Vector is running as a VM. So it's not traditional hardware. And that is sort of one of the roadmaps that Viz is taking with TriCaster.
Yeah, I think a lot of our new viewpoint on this, and I'm sure Kane would have his own experience, and Alex as well, considering his history with us. Our new goal and our new vision is to give you a TriCaster everywhere. If you want a physical TriCaster in your studio, we've got that. If you need a TriCaster to be able to run in the cloud anywhere in the world, we've got that. And if you need to be as portable as a TriCaster in your backpack as a laptop, we've got that. And I think this is sort of the way we are changing from where we were maybe even 5 years ago, where we had a lot of great platforms that were in a lot of different environments. But now we're saying, hey, look, if you want to work with us in any capacity, in any model of paying with us, in any model of form factor, we basically got a TriCaster for you.
And that's going to come first in the form of the Mini S as a software solution that you can drive on sort of any platform. And I think it's interesting because chess.com was on OBS and moved to, a more dedicated solution. And it's kind of interesting because there was a podcaster just recently that had a blow up on air when his OBS system failed on him. And at a moment, I think he was going to give up and walk away. But that type of thing happens. In fact, it happened to us today that not TriCaster, but that the backbone teams stopped working. And we were not able to do NDI, but because of the flexibility of our hardware and our software, we're still on air. So yeah, it wouldn't work if it wasn't for TriCaster. So kudos to Jordan for pulling it off today. We're all pan and scanned here, but we're in the air. So talk to me about a little bit of what's in Mini S and what differentiates it maybe from OBS or even vMix, and why as software only.
Well, I'll start a little bit on it. So, I mean, Mini S is, if you've ever used a TriCaster Mini 4K, then you're going to be very familiar with the Mini S because it's basically that package or that product available as a software-only installation. So you can put it on your own hardware. There is going to be registered or certified, I guess that'd be the right term to use, certified hardware that we recommend you use, right? This is stuff that's been tested and vetted by Vizrt so that we can fully support it. But that being said, you could install it and there'll be a trial version that you'll be able to download and test it out on your own hardware so you can verify that things are going to work before you actually have to purchase it and put it out of the system. And this will be a full 4K capable solution. It's got 8 inputs on it. And another great thing it has is it also, when you get a Mini S, it includes our Flowix service as well, which is our online CG titling solution. And you'll have both of those together. So not only will you have the great production solution, you'll also have this great graphic solution that can both work together for producing your live events.
Now, it's going to be sold as a software license on a SaaS base, meaning you're always going to get updates and you're going to have access to these cool tools. Let's talk about the hardware for a second. There will be certified or whatever you want, right? Meaning somebody could take an existing vMix PC, drop the license on there and get going, or there'll be certified systems. And what's the value of the certified system? Like what should somebody expect to say that if I buy certified, I get what?
So you're used to this with our current TriCaster, Nick, which is we have a support team. We have articles. We have a knowledge base built upon the idea of having a certified hardware platform. We know the results and we build the software to sort of ensure these results. And I think as you were speaking of some of the in the field other software appliances, sometimes it's what you could buy when you could buy it, right? Whether you have a dealer you're working with or you're on an online shopping event, especially coming out of the conversation we talked about with like gaming and graphics cards, right? Sometimes the graphics cards are free flowing, and then sometimes it's like there's this crypto thing and you can't get a graphics card to save your life. They're all 10 times the price. And so when I build those systems, I can, my limitations are what's available. With these certified hardware platforms, we as an organization know, hey, we can support you guys and deliver these different levels of performances. We're going to support you still if you're in a non-certified hardware platform. There's going to be articles and content, but we as an organization go the steps further and say, hey, this is the ensured results and this is what we're going to get you. So we're sort of offering all aspects now and allowing somebody coming from even a free-based model like OBS to come into and say, hey, this is what a professional set of production tools looks like. And I now know if I'm going to bake my business on this, whether it be a podcast or something better, this is the way I want to sort of progress. I do have one question because, inside the Vizrt bubble, we kind of are deep in the tank with all of this IP. Alex, you're with us. I mean, what's been your experience in terms of TriCaster versus some of the other options out there? And like, what are you seeing in those sort of UI decisions or things like that for production people?
It's funny, I was writing some things up today looking at various platforms. I'll say it's a little bit hard for me to be objective just because of my pedigree, right? Having spent so much time in front of one interface for so long. But there's things that I have seen the other platforms do where I'm like, boy, that's something that If I would have had to do that in, the platform that I'm most familiar with, I could see how much more work that would take me. Obviously it's something that must have come up a lot because people came up with a shortcut for that. So, everything has its niceties. I think that I am very appreciative of what Viz is trying to do. Maybe a little different from some of the other folks out there in that, they're not barring you anymore and saying like the only way to get a TriCaster is to get the bent metal or to get the turnkey. You can run it on, and you can run it on other things, which I think is amazing. But there's that middle ground that says, look, if you want something beyond just community level support, on the product where everybody kind of leans on each other, which is not a bad thing in and of itself, but you want the organization to stand behind you, then work on certified hardware, and then you've got the organization behind you as well. So I think that's a really smart move and a key differentiator between what you guys are trying to do. So I'm actually very excited about that, because from a metaphor standpoint, you'll get really great switching and production tools on hardware that that you might also use for other things. And you'll still have the support of the organization behind you. So I think that's a win-win-win.
And I want to hit on that because I think it's important, because you might already have the hardware. And half the cost, if we look at like a mini UHD or the mini 4K, any of those components, they're not inexpensive. But if you've already got an investment in vMix or an OBS system, you now have the ability to grow and expand and give yourself more capabilities.
I know so many times over the years in talking to folks where they were like, even at the mini level, people were like, well, this is a fairly substantial investment for some organizations, but they want the capability to do that kind of quality in their live streaming. And so, the conversation inevitably flows around, well, if the back end of this is Windows anyways, and we're getting this powerful computer, then we can do all this other stuff with it. And you had to kind of steer the conversations. It's like, well, no, not really, because we really want to treat this like an appliance, and that's how you get the support. Now with the qualified hardware, even if it was down to the point of like, oh, well, just get a secondary boot partition going or something like that to, freely divide the hardware. So when you want to use it as a post box for editing or whatnot, you can do that, but then go into live production mode. Now I've got my TriCaster sitting right there. So it's a really smart way to be able to allocate your funds for things.
Yeah, and I will add one other piece to that, which is the way it's being sold as a SaaS product gives people an entry into the graphics. A piece that they might have looked at before and got, I don't know if I can afford that. I don't know if I want to move to the cloud. It's like, well, it's free. Use it. Part of the package. Get on with it, right? And so hopefully that helps with that adoption for people using better graphical tools and getting out of PowerPoint.
Yeah, I think Flowix is very underrated in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
The data connection, the automation, the fact that my operator is not locked. We just talked about some IT stuff. I was working with Flowix, this is a couple months ago now, and IT pushed an update to my laptop. I couldn't get into my laptop. I opened another laptop and logged into Flowix. Like, I had my personal gaming laptop, popped it open, did the Flowix demonstration. I'm not limited. And I think a lot about high schools where there's maybe one laptop that has a license of a software, and you got students, that laptop can get damaged. That's probably under lock and key just for the fear that somebody might touch it. I travel a lot. I know you guys do too. Things happen. Your system gets shipped, rattled.
What?
Somebody decides to step on your laptop because it's underneath the seat in front of you. The flexibility of those cloud environments, I think, is going to become more and more a reality as people start to use it. It works better than you think it does.
It does, yeah. And your people really could be anywhere, right? As long as you have an internet connection, you can be building titles, playing out titles, connecting to data. And everything's held in the cloud too. So just like your laptop license you're talking about, it's not just your license, it's your entire projects and everything, right? So you literally just go to another machine and there it all is ready to be used.
Just keep moving forward.
What do you guys think of the impact that this could have for educational environments and just more hands-on thoughts?
I think that's the right way to look at what Flowix gives you uniquely, right? I can have a number of users just doing graphics creation. right? I could have a number of users just doing operation of different elements, a bug, a lower third. So I can start to really democratize that for like my entry-level high school program, where it's just like, hey, look, if you guys want to create some custom graphics, you can do that. And we could create our own little projects and things like that, a morning news project, different student-owned operations, and then we just have that output flowing, not too dissimilar from what the live production broadcasts are doing. And it does change some of that focus from where I think we were forever, which is, hey, you can be a one-man band with a TriCaster. You can do it all. That's important that we still keep that messaging. But and TriCaster can trigger FlowX for those people who are worried. Like, you can still have that environment, but now we get the opportunity for high schools, colleges, I would say even middle schools, with the advent of Twitch and HTML5 graphics just being a reality for these people. Like, they're using it so much in things like OBS that they're going to be more native to FlowX than they might be native to a more traditional in the field graphic system, because they're probably already doing something like this when they're streaming their PlayStation.
Fair enough. Now, loyal listener Dave out there on Vimeo today is asking, do existing control surfaces work with the Mini S?
Yes. You can use, obviously the Flex is the big one we're pushing these days, but you can also use some of our old ones like the Mini CS. Even a TC1 SP should work with it as well. I don't know how far back goes, like an LC11, not really sure on that one. But yes, there's a variety of control systems that are available for the Mini S that you can use.
Might I recommend going with the Flex for the following principle? And this is not, forget the sales side of this. I'll take the sales hat off. Because the Flex is IP native, it's an NDI native controller. If you get into something like using the Mini S, the fact that my operator doesn't have to be in front of my machine is a big piece in my toolkit. And that will start to get you, like, these two pieces together is the general enablement that we see for NDI productions to grow more and more and more. A lot of times I'm talking with Mini S in these complex corporate environments where we might have a big TriCaster in an HQ and then some sort of outside environments where we're using the Mini S's. Well, with Flexes, I can easily go from site to site or from college campus to college campus and integrate this control mechanism. So yes, I've loved and used tons of SPs, mini controllers, but every time I do more with the Flex, the visions, the ideas that we put into the NDI design and the sort of control scheme, it just becomes more and more reality for me. So if I were to put my dollar on something, I would say get a Flex.
So everybody keep your eyes on Fiverr.com for chrisburgos.com. His is has control surface will travel.
I was just going to add one other thing. I think another big thing too are the analog audio connections on that for Mini S, because otherwise you kind of have your sound card. You could certainly use other methods, but how many people need some balanced audio in and out? And you not only do you get a control surface, but you get also control over the audio mixer, and you get physical IOs that you can use as well. So it's really a great kind of all-in-one package to get all of that together in a single piece of hardware.
So I got to show you guys back at my home studio, and unfortunately I'm not there today. The guys at Allen and Heath gave us one of their CQ boxes, which is, half the size of a Mini with 18 inputs and 6 outputs. But with a USB cable, all those balanced connections are available. I thought it's a great little box to tie into any TriCaster that needs audio I/O if you don't have a control surface.
Yep.
So I do want to jump to Jordan, if you could pull up the screen just so we can show everybody. And I think this is important from the Mini S, just to show that, this is not, I'm sure actually this is one that will be available, but the scope of the hardware is very small. I mean, this thing can be smaller than the Mini now.
The key piece really is the NVIDIA graphics card. You have to have that. If you don't have a proper NVIDIA card, it doesn't matter what else you have. It's not going to run without that NVIDIA card in there.
So shout out to Cooperman and the rest of the Vizrt team who are on LinkedIn watching us there. If you're over there, he's been posting links to these applications and the others. So thank you, Steve, for being a part of this and helping us out. Now I'm going to shift gears. Okay, wait, one thing before we jump out of here. Mini S hardware certified. If you're in the dealer network, JB&A will have systems available in the coming weeks. Certified by NewTek. Right. Oh, I said the N-word. Sorry.
Whoa.
They've been trying to train me, guys. It's really hard.
It's been Vizrt for a little bit
Vizrt.
now.
Yeah.
Nick,
Hey, you
let
know
me- let me-
what?
let-
I bleed orange, man. I mean, I bleed blue. It'll always be new tech to me.
we have those limited edition hats for that reason. Speaking of this, I think this is a good point to talk about the relationship, right? Like you guys have been an instrumental part in our growth over the years, and part of the acquisition was sort of what you guys brought to us. And so the fact that Mini S is a different step in what we're doing traditionally, because you guys are also working with different hardware manufacturers, bringing them to the engineering team and saying, actually, you know what, our clients, our customers, our dealers really want it to look like this. And then our team can go through, certify that hardware. And I think this is a huge step from where we were, like I said, even 5 years ago, the fact that the Vizrt team is so flush with different resources that we can go and work on these different configurations so that it's not just one option anymore. I've been the one option guy for a while where this is the way the box looks, but now that it's grown, I see the viability, and I did have it working on my gaming laptop pretty quickly. Now, again, not certified hardware, but there's just something really cool to opening your laptop and then clicking the button. It's like, yeah, there's a full TriCaster here. Like I bought my first car that I purchased myself because the trunk was big enough to fit the box of the TriCaster in. And like that was where I was in my life, that like if I couldn't bring that, I couldn't work. And now the fact that I could just throw my laptop in my backpack and go and not have to worry, it's a very different environment.
It's crazy.
Can you guys remember how excited we all were when Studio Monitor got KVM capabilities? We were like, finally, I can be on a desktop and I can like get access to all this other stuff, but I can still run my production and my system's like way over there or something. It's also it's like joy.
Every single day. I'm using NDI KVM.
We're using it on every computer in the house. And half these things are just email and whatever. I mean, it's just so much easier to control.
Yeah,
I can
have
stand
all
in
my
one
systems
place.
set with like an auto start when they boot up. They automatically run NDI KVM and yeah.
It is the most affordable KVM on the market.
Jordan, can you throw up Nick's IP address and bridge credentials as a C sheet?
What am I going to do with you, Alex? Hey, question from the audience. Are there any plans for the 3-play line that will bring it in line with Vision and possibly Cloud? Discuss.
Yeah, it technically already exists as part of Viz Now. So as part of Viz Now, and I know a lot of people haven't had experience with this, if you've ever tried to deploy a system into the cloud, you need a cloud engineer, some level of certification. This is not for the faint of heart. You talk about what we've done in the years before with TriCaster, where it just launches and does most of the work behind the scenes for you, and a lot of solutions do this now. Getting this stuff to run in the cloud can be intense. What we did with Viz Now was basically make it like Legos. There is a button that says build the system out. You build a space with the different configurations, and one of them is sports production, and that includes a 3-play. So you could just build a sports package. It'll version all the cloud for you, give you the instances of your Vision mixer, your TriCaster, your NDI tools, and the 3-play all interconnected in a matter of less than 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and so with Viz Now, yeah, it is so crazy to see that this is being built in a data center, and you can pick the data center you're in. You know, if you're on the West Coast, you could choose. We're tied in this case with Amazon, so Amazon has data centers globally. So like I'm using US East often. My ping time is like 15 milliseconds from my house internet, like nothing crazy going on there. So operationally it's close, and that would work the same for your 3-play environment. So we have 3-play in the cloud as well. It's part of this sort of greater sports package. And I would say the future is bright for the development of that platform, as if you're looking at the most recent releases as the next checkpoint in what TriCasters are, whether that be Mini S or Vision, I would say that we're looking at all platforms to sort of adapt into these new models and modes.
All right. Well, speaking of a new Vision, let's shift over to the Vision. Jordan, bring up my screen for just a second. Here we are. Okay, so the TriCaster Vision. This is the replacement for the TC2E. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's actually. Is there a picture of it in here? Come here. Where are you at?
You saw it briefly there in one of those little monitors.
I did.
Yeah.
So I'm dizzying the audience for nothing. Okay, so big changes is it's an HP server. It's not a purpose-built box.
Yeah, it's either an HP desktop or rack mount. You could choose which one you want based upon, where you need it to go in configuration wise. And then it's using an I/O card, and you can also choose how many cards you want in it based upon the amount of SDI I/O. You don't need any. You could run the whole thing NDI wise or with other IP formats like SRT, but then you can add one or two 8-port SDI cards, and those cards include 12G SDI as well. And the other great thing is all the ports are reconfigurable. So if you want 16 SDI inputs, right, and maybe only NDI, you could do that. Or if you need 8 and 8 or 12 and 4, whatever combination works for your needs, you could redefine the cards to have the proper amount of input and output I/O for your workflow.
Now, I want to tag on this one. This is really important because this came up in a couple quotes that we were working on just recently, is that it's 16 I/O, up to 16, of either input or output. So there's no more dedicated inputs and dedicated outputs.
Yeah.
You've got 16 spigots, use them at your will.
Yeah, so if you think of a TriCaster 2 Elite, right, it had 8 in, 8 out, and they were always that way. You could certainly have that configuration, but you're not locked into that configuration anymore. So if you're like, man, I need 9 SDI inputs because I need that one more, you just go in and reconfigure the software, and now you can have 9 in and 7 out instead if you wanted.
And then the rack mount version is only capable of 8.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is just a physical, not
Yeah.
because we don't love you guys. There's just it is a very thin
Yeah,
rack
what
mount
are you?
server, and we can only get so many. I think the exact quote from our PM Chris McLennan was, "We could have given you 6 of the other 8, but then the other 2 just would have been impossible for you to get your fingers around." So it was just like we wanted to make we really thought about customers, and I think that sort of is the thought process around everything, which is like, well, when you guys are using this stuff, what is actually going to make sense? And obviously with the prevalence of NDI now in productions, things like PTZs and converters and things like that, I do think there's a lot of opportunity for someone to just have an 8x8 and actually get all their production done, because they've already done something for ingest of IP sources.
Yeah, you got it all on NDI network at that point. Question from the audience pertaining to SDI. So we know in the TC2, when we kick it into 4K mode, the output configuration changes. What's happening on the Vision?
So Vision has a couple different things it does differently. First of all, Vision does SDR and HDR. So we're looking with your lookup tables. We're giving you that new flavor of output. So for the ultra high end, we're giving you that as well. It is 12G capable. I believe in the output configuration. I don't have one right in front of me, and so last time I looked, this was last week. There is some tick boxes that you can do in the configuration that would sort of allow you to manage that. But to Kane's point, it's the output capacity, I want to say, remains the same.
Okay.
It's just the power of the output. It's now the card supports that.
From what I heard, and I don't want to say more than I guess I can, but the initial version will be the same, where you have 2, but I am told they are looking to see if that can be increased, but I don't know what the number will be. So it's possible that a future release may raise that number, but right now it will be 8 in HD and 2 in 4K mode. But the great thing is that in the 4K mode, you do have 12G SDI outputs now, right? They're not quad link, so it's gonna be a lot easier to get those signals out and work with them in other equipment.
Yeah, because frankly,
We can still do the mixed mode, right? Like 4K and 4
Yeah, you should be able to
HD.
do that if you wanted to as well.
Not in HDR, but yeah.
Yeah.
now for those in the
I should
audience
also
that
point
don't
out,
know what
besides the
HDR is,
SD and-
this is high dynamic range video. So better color, deeper color saturation, more color.
Yes.
Can we say color enough
more
times?
color gamut to work with. Also, I think, to be honest, the mode that most people out of the box are going to look for, it does also support 10-bit SDR, right? Which is, if you think about it, that's what most people these days are looking for. So you have 8-bit SDR, which is what TriCaster's always had, 10-bit SDR, and then you have the HLG and PQ HDR modes, and you can set up any one of those and work in that mode.
Which is, it's going to take time for HDR to make it to this market to a certain degree, right? We still can't broadcast it. Many of the streaming platforms don't have it. A lot of the cameras don't even support it. So I think you're ahead of the curve on this.
The beautiful part is always, Nick, is that it's just there.
Yeah.
Like we talk about the options and the tools within the system. It's there. So 5 years later, you've got your vision, and now you want to access that. You don't have to go buy a new one. It's just you just turn the feature set on. You make your new session. You choose HDR or SDR, and you just go.
Well, think of the number of people that bought TC2s and have never turned on 4K, right? They're probably starting to now.
Yeah.
Well, I just saw an email that Atmos released a 10-bit HDR add-on for their NDI converter. So we're now starting to see the other product, because that's really, to be honest, part of it, right? You don't need just the switcher. You also need, as you said, the input stuff.
Yep.
And that is not as easy as everybody thinks, right? You need special cameras and interfaces and all of that. It's not just there you go. You need the proper equipment, and now we're starting to see that stuff come out as well.
So I got a couple of new questions from the audience I want to hit, but before we go to the questions, audio. I saw no audio inputs or outputs, and don't say embedded in it, Alex.
I said there's SDI and NDI.
Where is the audio?
You're correct. There's no analog. Although I guess to technically be accurate, there is a sound card, but I realize that's not what people are wanting to use. Today, Flex is the answer, right? Whether it be a standard Flex panel or a Flex Dual, both of those offer a full set of analog audio ins and outs. So you could use that and get analog audio in and out. As you mentioned, you could use a variety of outboard audio devices, like from professional music interfaces, right, that hook up by a USB and make it work. Dante, of course, could be used if you want to install that. And we do have a product. We announced it at IBC. It is not shipping. I don't believe it ships until the very beginning of next year.
Go to our website to see a video of it.
Yeah, we're still a little bit ways to go, but we will have a NDI audio interface that will give you, I think, 8 in, 4 out, and then you'll be able to configure whether you want to do like mono or stereos and all of that kind of stuff. It's got a little screen on it, so you can actually operate the whole thing right from the front panel, and that will be a kind of a way to expand really any TriCaster model, be it a Mini S or a Vision or even a TriCaster you already have, or even other NDI workflows, right? It's NDI, it's going to work with anything. This will give you a multi-channel audio box for NDI audio.
Shout out to the guys at Llama with Llama Connect. That's a good way to get audio in.
You'd be able to use it as an interface with that if you wanted to.
Yep. Love it. All right, let's jump into a couple of the questions here. Shout out to lawyer listener Dominic. How are you, sir? Good, sir. Good to see you here. Okay, why not come out with a Flex Mini? Do we have one? Is there one coming?
I don't know yet, but I would say look at, like I said about sort of the check mark of where we are in new TriCasters, I would say the Flex is where we are in new controllers. So I think the Flex came out, and I think people were sort of looking at it and saying, this is cool, but maybe not my right needs. Now we've got the Flex Dual, which is sort of the sort of larger scale that looks more like what production switchers need for control. Just, without knowing and speaking with the product team, like that's the way our controllers are going to be looking going forward. So if there were a new mini controller, I would expect it to look like the Flex, although I would say the Flex probably covers the needs of that level of show. Like it's in that space today. And not to sort of segue, but there's all kinds of forms of control. Earlier this week, I was working with somebody who was using a Stream Deck for control. I think.
Do you guys see the new Stream Deck, the rack mount one?
No.
Oh, it's pretty.
Stream Deck Studio.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta look that up.
Yeah, check out Make Pro X. Or Make Pro Audio. He does custom control servers as well. Shout out to Frank. Really cool services that would work with this. Yep.
If I had a crystal ball, I would say we're probably looking to innovate in lots of different areas. And so something like Live Panel, which Kane's a big champion of, and I am too. I would say that's probably another area we're going to innovate soon. So I think Kane gave you a little bit of the future insight on what we're doing on audio, but it's a new world at Viz with TriCaster in every respect. It's built upon that old stuff, everything we've been doing that's been working so great, and now we're expanding to all new avenues. And I think there'll be other layers of control that will sort of solve what you would need in terms of your mini.
Well, the NDI ecosystem is growing. I mean, I do know of a company building an audio to NDI box. I mean, there are definitely people jumping on the bandwagon. which is good. I want to hit a couple more questions. Jim is asking, is the complete sports in the cloud available? Can it be rented by the week or month? Discuss.
Good question. I don't. So currently, the way we do our versioning to a client, the license is a year. It is not in that sort of granular setup. You're going to see something similar with some of the other products we're releasing. We are new to the market of doing these sort of software as a service, or in this place, a cloud implementation of our platform. So I would say the future is bright in those regards. And there's a reason why we have a giant partner network. You know, there are partners out there. For instance, ASG, the guys who worked with the chess.com workflow, those guys are pretty deep into the cloud space. So look to the partners who are sort of on the bleeding edge of this stuff to give you the right sort of solution that solves you. The way we work with our customer base through the dealers is we give you the yearly license for you to work with. There are more granular approaches to this in terms of different cloud instances for things like Azure, Google, and stuff like that. So if you have questions, reach out to us at Vizrt.com, and we can sort of get you with the right partner and sort of work you guys through the process.
Sounds like a great opportunity for a dealer to rent their license.
Well, just to throw it out there, when it comes to at least what is available for the sports, you know, besides the TriCaster and 3Play, which is available in Biz Now, we also have our Libero product, which I know maybe people aren't as familiar with, but that is the incredible telestration and sports analysis. The kind of stuff you would see like on a major sporting event is also cloud native as well.
If you watch Thursday Night Football, and you're watching all those intense analysis is happening now, where they're doing the cool player tracking and stuff like that. What Libero gives you is something analogous to that, and we're incorporating this into this cloud workflow. And I think the fact that it's all in this one ecosystem that we're sort of giving you access to makes it, one, easy that it's all going to work, and two, it's very, very powerful when it's just at your fingertips. We don't have to think about like, well, do we want to work on getting the new system? It's just in that package, and you're going to be able to really elevate your sports game and sort of outshine the rest, just being able to have like the most intense post-game show possible where you're getting really deep into those analytics. We see this in the esports world because those engines kind of like build some of the stuff into it. Now we can marry that in the sports world and sort of do that same kind of workflow.
You should see how they're using it on chess.com. All right.
Joke, but they do replay for it.
No, that's true. That's true. Let's talk about the competition for a minute. And when I say competition, I'm talking about SMPTE 2110. So Carl out in the audience is asking, how do we get SMPTE 2110 sources into the TriCaster ecosystem? Oh, Alex, fire away.
Matrox just announced the solution for that.
Yep.
The name escapes me at the moment, but they just announced it at IBC. I want to say Minerva, but I don't think that's right. But yeah, it's one box that sort of rules them all. It'll do 2110 IPMX, NDI, I think SRT as well. And it goes back and forth between them. So yeah, this has been on the wish list for quite some time, particularly in the broadcast realm, to be able to interface 2110 and NDI more easily, and I think Matrox is answering that call, so that's good.
So that is the Vion, Vion from Matrox.
Sorry, Matrox.
Yep.
It's the Vion, yes.
The Vion.
Is there? I want to say there's another NDI third party.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I think there's actually one in Biz Now. It's kind of a transcoding solution, and I don't. The name of it. It's not made by Vizrt. It's a.
Is it the Compromato?
Maybe, because one thing to also let people know about Biz Now is there actually is some non-Viz products in there that you can actually implement as part of your cloud solution. Like, for example, you might want to have intercom, right? We don't make intercom solutions, but there's an intercom solution that you can deploy into your Biz Now environment. So I think they have a software transcoder engine, that does 2110 interface if you're working with that in the cloud.
And as Viz, we're also looking at the space as well. I mean, NDI Gateway is getting to 2110 and this sort of crossover. You know, since NDI's launch was always, we want to make this as interoperable as possible with other IP standards, as long as they're out there. 2110 has sort of taken its time to get to the point where people are using it at the scale that we have in NDI ecosystems. And so now that we're seeing these sort of requests grow, I think we're looking back at it because previously we did have a 2110 NDI converter. And so it's not, we're looking back at the space as well. So I would assume in the next probably like 6 to 8 months, there's going to be a lot of third-party manufacturers getting into it. Beyond what Alex talked about earlier, there's going to be more and more options to get these sort of crossovers environments.
All right, we got to wrap this up. I'm getting the the same message Kamala got. Get off the air. Wow, tough crowd. Just kidding, everybody. Alex, final thoughts. What are you thinking about the new products?
I'm super excited. I can't, get product, just to have accessibility to try it, like get educated to see if the workflow is suitable for you. And, even if you do that and the small one is not necessarily where you want to go, that you're a part of a pedigree where there are larger options. So I think just in terms of touch points to the product, it's a great time to be involved with that suite.
Well, and that Mini S, it's like maybe it's just the hardware holding you back, and you can upgrade that and take your license, right? That to me is everything. Yeah. So, Kane, Peterson, you excited about the new products? Final thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. I've been working on new training material, so you'll see some of that coming out. I've actually created some videos on even on some competitive products, learning, taking what you know how to use in some of those competitive products and applying it to TriCaster, right? So if you've never used one, but you've used something else, you'll be able to go, here's how I do it here. Here's how I do it in TriCaster. So you'll see some of that coming out. And of course, other courses in Viz University. So I am actively busy on trying to stay on top of all of this, and it's been pretty busy lately.
and should note, all of that is on the new partner portal, not the old Channeltivity. Is that correct?
It's on Viz University, which I should also just throw out because I don't know if everybody knows this. Obviously you guys as partners have access, but there's a lot of courses available on Viz University that are available to anyone, right? You don't even have to own the product. You could sign up as a freelancer and get it. So you could sign up for Viz University. There's TriCaster training. And in fact, one other thing I'll throw out there, because I know people have been asking for this course for a long time and it's free now, is the NDI and Performance Media Networking course. Remember that one, right? That's available to anybody. Anybody could sign up and watch that course for free. 8 hours
Everybody
of
should
NDI training.
watch that course.
What's
Half the
Alex,
calls we get are. Go ahead, Alex.
Oh, could freelancers get the watermarked version of Mini S and follow along with the Introduction to Vision Mixing course?
That's something I'm excited about too, because I've had actually lots of people in the past where they've wanted to learn a TriCaster, but they didn't have access to one. I'm like, well, you got courses, but let's be honest, having hands-on is great. So yes, when the trial's available, that would give you a 1 month trial that you could run on the system and learn how to use it and put it all together.
I technically believe wait no longer. If you go to the AWS Marketplace, you get access to this. I believe it's in there.
Yeah.
I believe this is in there right now.
AWS and implement it into your account. So that's another way that you can get it. But of course, you need AWS for that.
And Kane, you could also get access to TriCaster Now in a trial environment with a watermark. So there's more opportunity there.
I'm excited for the first school that puts Mini S's on every computer in the lab so that every student can work at the same time. Right? I mean, with a good NDI network behind it, we could all see the same content. We could all build a show separately, but you could teach 20, 30 students at once, which was really hard to do when you only have one TriCaster. All right, Chris Burgos, final thoughts.
I always try to speak authentically because of my time with TriCaster. I've been using TriCaster a little over 15 years, and I call myself the TriCaster kid because I've been doing it for that long and I have a passion for it. When I saw the vision in action, and when I put the Mini S on my own laptop, it reignited that passion. It is a new world for what we're able to do in productions because of how many people can do something simple, complex, anywhere in the world. So it has my seal of authenticity because I've been using it pretty much everywhere I go.
And in my mind, you're still a kid. Just saying. All right, everybody, that's our show today. Thank you so much to the guest, Alex, to Kane, to Chris for joining us today and bestowing upon us the knowledge and wisdom that they bring from their years of experience using TriCasters. Hey, we got If you're interested in seeing more about this one, of course, you can reach out to JB&A. You can reach out to Vizrt team. If you want to share this with friends, family, neighbors, if somebody's having a hard time sleeping, you can check our YouTube channel or our website. We will have links for a shareable version. And if nothing else, we will see you on the next episode of NDI Now. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.